Hi, everyone. So, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your 3-day weekend and that it was a restful one for you. I know some of you had to work, some of you may be in activities at school, or maybe you're using to get caught up. But whatever you did over the weekend, I hope that you found at least a little time for yourself and a little time to relax. So, let's go and get started with this week. We're going to be doing the French Revolution this week. Now, that may sound weird to talk about the French Revolution in a British literature class. But the truth is, the British were looking very closely at this revolution that was going on in France because um, they were wanting to know what they wanted to do with their king, who happened to be King George III at the time. King George III at this time was starting to go blind and he was starting to go mad. Plus, uh, as the French Revolution was going on, the American colonies had broken free and started their own country. And, Britain was still smarting a little bit from that. So, uh, the three authors you're going to read this week are going to be British authors that were looking at the revolution and were giving their opinions of it. They are Edmund Burke, Mary Wollstonecraft, and Thomas Paine. And yes, it is the Thomas Paine that wrote things like Common Sense while he lived in the American colonies. Um, I always like to think of it this way. Before there were social media and before there were 24-hour news channels, debates were still going on. All this stuff you see on social media with people getting mad, somebody posts something political, somebody else gets mad and insults them, and then it turns into a big written fight. That's not new. That's not new at all. This was going on. This has been going on for hundreds of years. And the way it went on during the late 1700s, when the French Revolution was going on, was through something called pamphlets. And there were a lot of reasons why pamphlets caught fire as far as popularity. A lot of it has to do with the fact that people were learning how to read. More people could read at that time than at any other time in history. The printing press was churning out these things. The pamphlets were inexpensive. They were short. They were able to make a lot of money by churning out these pamphlets. And so the debate that's going on between Burke versus Wollstonecraft and Paine is this French Revolution a good thing, right? Because what France did was they overthrew Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. Bear in mind, these pamphlets were all written before they were beheaded. Okay, the French Revolution took a really dark turn during something called the Reign of Terror later on, around 1793, I think, somewhere thereabouts. These pamphlets were probably published around 1791. So they're watching this, and Burke, who is a royalist and who is, a part of the aristocracy, is thinking this is bad, right? Because if this happens in England, he's going to get overthrown. And he's like, no, in England we have, inherited titles and we have inherited lands, and this is great for our country. We don't need a revolution like France is doing right now. On the other hand, Wollstonecraft and Paine are saying we need a government for the people, by the people. We need elected officials. We don't need people that are born into their titles. We need people that represent the best interests of the people. And so they get into this heated debate. So it starts with Burke writing his reflections on the revolution in France, uh, saying, "Oh, this is bad. We don't need this kind of nonsense over here. And oh, by the way, that poor French king and queen, they've been terrified, and it's not right." And then, of course, Wollstonecraft and Paine are both going to respond very, very vehemently against him. Do bear in mind that even though you're seeing a 2-on-1 fight here, Burke did have his supporters. A lot of people agreed with Burke. So don't think that, we're saying, oh, well, everybody agreed with Wollstonecraft and Paine, because that's not true. It's just that they were second, and so they got to attack Burke's arguments directly. So do that. And then you got a project here, right? You got the reading quiz. I'm not asking you to do any postings on the board, but this posting. Imagine if there were social media in the 1790s, and imagine that Edmund Burke had an account with Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want to use, and imagine that Wollstonecraft and Paine also have their own accounts, and they get into a bitter social media feud. I'd like to see you pull quotes directly out of the readings so that you can go ahead and quote them directly. But then you're going to have to fill in some blanks, right? Not everything is going to come out of that. So I need to see as I look at this project that you understand the arguments that each one's making, understand the arguments that Burke's making, understand the arguments that Payne and Wollstonecraft are making. And you can throw some likes in there, or you can throw some angry faces in there, whatever it is that your chosen social media thing does to show disagreement, right? So, maybe Mary Wollstonecraft makes a statement, Thomas Paine likes it, and then replies to Wollstonecraft, and Wollstonecraft likes it, or something like that, or maybe he loves it, whatever it is. So, for your project, we are taking the French Revolution and we're looking at it through the lens of 21st century social media. I think you can have a lot of fun with this project. A lot of students in the past have had fun. You can use the Facebook logo and the Instagram logo and the TikTok logo or whatever it is you're going to use. Use those and recreate this debate as it would happen now as opposed to in these pamphlets. So if you have any further questions, of course, feel free to reach out to me. And I look forward to seeing your work on this.